Wait, have you ever wondered if depression is just a chemical imbalance? Or is it actually your soul trying to send you a message that you're not listening to? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to share a perspective that might completely change how you see your life. This video could be a total game changer for you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to PsychCore. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our important videos on psychology and mental health. Today we're diving into Carl Jung's revolutionary ideas about depression, how he saw it not just as a disease, but as a call from your soul. In today's world, we've simplified depression: chemical imbalance, stress, trauma, exhaustion. These are all factors, but Jung said we're missing something huge. He believed that many mental health conditions aren't failures at all, but messages from the soul. They're not diseases that need curing, but signals that desperately need to be heard. Jung called this phenomenon the neurosis of meaninglessness. It's an emotional collapse that doesn't come from a damaged mind, but from a meaningless life. Think about people who spend years following other people's goals, meeting society's expectations, playing inherited roles. Then one day something inside them just stops. No energy, no enthusiasm, no desire. And Jung said this isn't a defect, it's a refusal. Our psyche is rejecting an existence that doesn't match our personal myth. What's a personal myth? It's that unique story each person is meant to live. This is uncomfortable because it forces us to reevaluate our lives. Professional success, stable relationships, everything might look perfect, but the soul could be mourning. Because living someone else's myth is dying inside every single day. Jung observed that in the first half of life, society teaches us to seek external recognition. But then a moment comes when the unconscious demands a different path called individuation, where a person must face who they really are. When this call is ignored, depression follows. But what's actually dying is just the persona, that false self constructed to please the world. The greatest tragedy of modern life isn't failure, it's empty success. It's climbing to the top only to realize the ladder was against the wrong wall. This emptiness is the deepest trigger of existential depression. Jung saw this as a disconnection between the social ego and the deep self. From childhood, we're programmed to meet expectations. This programming creates the persona, the social mask we wear for acceptance. The problem starts when we confuse this mask with our real identity. When we spend decades building an identity to please others, the result is a functional life outside and desolation inside. This is where the personal myth enters. Every human carries a unique narrative, a symbolic journey that must be lived for fulfillment. This story reveals itself in spontaneous passions, ignored talents, repressed desires, in dreams that repeat night after night. When we ignore this call and follow someone else's myth, the self begins to react. First with restlessness, then crisis, finally collapse. This collapse isn't a chemical collapse, it's symbolic. It's disconnection from vital energy when the soul sees no meaning in the performance. The ironic thing is that outside everything looks fine, but inside, something essential is lost. Authenticity. Life has lost its color, rhythm, and purpose. Waking becomes a burden, work a dull obligation, relationships mechanical acts. Not because they're sick, but because they're absent from themselves. This disconnection is dangerous because it's silent. It doesn't explode, it dissolves. The more someone tries to compensate with achievements, the deeper the hole becomes. This cycle feeds the false self while suffocating the true one. How do we perceive this before total collapse? How do we identify we're living someone else's myth? These symptoms are silent but powerful. When the unconscious protests, the body feels it. According to Jung, many symptoms labeled as depression are actually sophisticated ways for the unconscious to make itself heard. When someone moves away from their purpose, their deepest truth, the self reacts. This reaction is a legitimate protest of the soul. This protest doesn't come as a clear cry. It's disguised as apathy, constant exhaustion, loss of interest. The world loses color, days seem mechanical, interactions superficial. It's not physical fatigue, it's soul exhaustion. A sign that the whole being is resisting living a story that isn't theirs. Jung believed that when the ego conflicts with the self, vital energy becomes fragmented. It's as if part of us is saying no to the life we're trying to lead. In that no, symptoms arise as symbolic resistance. These symptoms aren't just emotional. They manifest in the body, sleep, appetite, creativity. Everything that flowed starts getting stuck. What sparked curiosity now seems indifferent. The distressing part is there's often no clear reason. The person lacks nothing, but inside everything feels absent. Jung saw these states as liminal moments, doorways to deep psychic transitions. They arise when something in us needs to die for something else to be born. But out of fear or social conditioning, we try to silence these signals. When the self protests, it's pointing to a truth that needs to emerge. It might be a buried talent, an abandoned vocation, or a life choice made from fear, not authenticity. At the center of Jung's psychology is an idea that sounds almost heretical. Suffering can be a call, not just to repair what's broken, but to reveal what's hidden. This journey is called individuation. Individuation isn't individualism. Individualism seeks to separate and affirm the ego. Individuation proposes integration. It's the inner movement of reconnecting with all parts of yourself, light and shadow, reason and instinct. Jung saw this as the most important psychological task of adult life and also the most avoided. Why? Because individuation requires courage. It demands questioning everything passively internalized. Family values, cultural standards, society's success models. Jung said in the first half of life, the ego needs to develop. But then a critical point comes where this is no longer enough. This call comes as internal restlessness. It may come through recurring dreams, creative impulses, philosophical questions, or deep disconnection. Objectively, nothing seems wrong, but everything feels out of place. This is when the unconscious pushes the individual out of the persona and demands reconnection with the self. For Jung, the self is the organizing center of the psyche, the totality of being that knows what we came here to do. It's like an invisible magnetic field, constantly pulling consciousness toward wholeness. When ignored, it manifests in symptoms, dreams, synchronicities. Individuation is accepting this call. It's committing to inner excavation, where old structures must crumble for something new to emerge. It's dying to idealized images and being reborn in the raw truth of what we really are. This process isn't comfortable or quick, but it's the only way to rediscover lost vitality. But where do we begin? How do we listen to this self? Jung's suggestion was active listening to the unconscious, paying attention to dreams, noting impulses, revisiting forgotten memories. Every person has a personal myth within them that needs discovery. This myth emerges through symbolic fragments, recurring dreams, persistent ideas, neglected talents seeking space, creative impulses in silence. These are direct expressions of the self. When we ignore them, the unconscious screams, but its scream is subtle. Jung suggested powerful questions. What in me is trying to be born? What part of me was sacrificed to please others? What suffering would I fight for because it makes sense? What can only I offer the world just as I am? Depression shouldn't be seen as an end. For Jung, this dark experience can be the beginning of psychological rebirth. This rebirth requires awareness, listening, and willingness to traverse the darkness honestly. Before being reborn, one must die. What needs to die is the persona disconnecting us from our essence. Jung saw the transcendent function as the mechanism enabling this rebirth. When the ego sincerely listens to the unconscious, when there's true dialogue between reason and intuition, something new emerges. A new way of being, more integrated, more authentic. This transformation requires that pain not be denied or immediately numbed. One must endure the tension, emptiness, and disorientation without seeking quick solutions. At the center of this discomfort lies the possibility of finding the lost thread of purpose. Living from the self isn't mystical or unattainable. It's practice, it's everyday. It's made of small choices aligned with your personal myth. It's understanding that there are things only you can do the way you do them. Your existence is justified not by external applause, but by internal coherence. This might mean changing careers or changing attitude in your current career. It might mean leaving a draining relationship or finally diving in with presence. It might mean reclaiming a talent you abandoned years ago. Jung reminds us there's no model for this. Individuation is radically individual. What's destiny for one may be a detour for another. So there's no map, only listening. Fidelity to this path requires courage, being unpopular, misunderstood, lonely. The price of living your own truth is often rupture with others' expectations. But what you gain is infinitely more valuable. Integrity, vitality, a sense of presence no distraction can offer. An almost sacred feeling that you're finally where you should be, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Living with meaning isn't about being happy all the time. It's knowing your pain has a place, your joy has roots, and your existence has direction. It's being able to look at life, even on difficult days, and feel that it matters, that you matter. This is the true healing Jung proposes. Not suppression of symptoms, but integration of being. Not escape from pain, but welcoming the call. Not blind adaptation to society, but fidelity to your own soul. So friends, that was today's reflection on Jung's ideas. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss PsychCore's upcoming videos. Remember, you're not lost, just disconnected, and there's still time to remember who you are. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.